In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a super simple flashlight in Unreal Engine, so let's get started. So the first thing you're going to have to do is go to your first person character, open it up, and then inside here, we have to add two components. First off, we have to add a spring arm component, and name this component flashlight arm, something along those lines. And then we have to add a spotlight component and make sure it's attached to it. If it's not already attached to it, just drag it onto it. So starting off with the spotlight selected, we have to come over here and change a few settings. For the intensity, let's set this to 20,000. And it'd probably be better if I go to the viewport so you can see it. It looks a little funky right now, but we'll fix that. For the light color, change it to just barely a dingy yellow, just ever so slightly. For the radius, set this to about 5,000. And for the outer cone angle, set this to about 30. And that's all the settings we have to adjust for the spotlight. So now we can move on to the flashlight arm. And over here in the target arm length, set this to about 30 just to shorten it quite a bit, and then scroll down here to enable camera lag. Click this and enable camera rotation lag. Check that as well. What these values will do is if you turn really fast, the flashlight will lag behind a little bit, giving it a realistic effect. I like to set this value to about 20 on both of them. You can go a little bit higher, but if you go too high, then it won't look too realistic. So next, we gotta come over here and get a little bit closer to your first person character. And we have to, over here in the components, we have to parent this to the mesh 2P right here. So just drag your flashlight arm and parent it to there. And inside your flashlight arm, you have to come over here to the parent socket and hit the magnifying glass. Type in hand and do hand_L, not IK, but just the regular one. Alright, once you have that selected, then your spotlight and your arm look a little weird. To fix this, all we have to do is, we don't really care where the spring arm component is, we only care where the flashlight is, but you can play around with it, rotate this around, and rotate it this way, kind of get it aligned how it should be facing, and you can click the spotlight to see how it's actually facing, and then move it a little more this way, move it up, move it to the left a little bit, up more. Then also, just to be on the safe side, it might mess with it a little bit, but wherever your arm is, you want to move the spotlight a little bit closer to it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just somewhere in the ballpark. So then just keep lining it up. Alright, so I got mine approximately where I like it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you can play around with it and get it right. Just make sure that the spring arm is decently close to the spotlight, somewhere around in this distance. If it's perfectly touching it, then it's fine. And also make sure that the cone isn't overlapping with the gun or anything. And as you can see with the idle animation, the spotlight is also moving around. That's caused by the attaching it to the socket right here. So now there's one last thing we have to do, and it depends on if you want to start with the flashlight on or not, but check if you want to start it with it off, set visible to false. If you want it to be on, then check it to true, but I'm going to set it to false. Then go to the event graph, and just to save time, I'm going to set this to the tab key. You could make a binding for it, but for the sake of the tutorial, I am going to just use the tap. So then come over here, drag in a reference to your spotlight, drag off of it, and do set visibility. Connect this up, and when we're turning it on, set it to true, and copy and paste this node, and connect it up to false, and connect that up, and this time set this to false. Oops, I just noticed I made a mistake, and actually this should not be on released. It should be on pressed again, but I just noticed another mistake. We actually need a flip-flop, just like that, and that's why I messed it up, because I was thinking that was a flip-flop. But connect your A input to the top one, and your B input to the bottom one. Alright, and if everything looks how I had it, you can compile and save, and we can test it out. Alright, so back inside the viewport, we can press play, and walk over to a dark corner, and press tab, and the light comes on. And as you can see, we're sitting here idle, and it kind of moves with the hand. It's super hard to see, but also if I move the light super fast, you can see it's sort of delayed a little bit. And the reason why you want to not increase this value too much is, one reason is why when you're sitting idle, it can get super off from the idle animation, and it can look unrealistic as well. And also, of course, whenever you look back and forth, the light could be super far behind. So then we can press tab to turn it back off. And yeah, it's a simple flashlight. So if you enjoyed this tutorial or you found it useful, subscribe and leave a like, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.